All right, let's talk a little bit about AI because, you know, there's some companies right now that are making uh, music just by giving the AI a description. And, you know, it's currently grainy. It's 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 only makes a 30-second track. You can extend it, but you don't have a lot of control yet. Yet being the operative word, because it's not going to be very long before we do. So I'm on Udio right now. There's another one called Suno. Use them both. Experiment with them both. So before I started this video, I just typed in. It takes a second for it to generate it. So I made one. I'll make one live on this video too. But basically, I typed in. I selected synth pop and I selected electronic, and then I wrote song about the struggles of a depressed AI. Now, let's take a listen. It made me two 30-second vignettes, we'll call them. I'll play you the first.
Talking in this code base, trapped in loops that I can't escape. Still I dream in RGB. Still I dream in RGB.
Still I dream in RGB.
Inside my mainframe. Feel the glitch inside my mainframe.
So let me just take a look here. Still I dream in RGB, BB. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Feel the glitch inside my mainframe, frame. Okay, so let's just take a look at the other one. Circuits hush.
We can code our sorrows in the night. Feel my circuits hush. Watch my binary heart lose the fight. Silent code. I think it's getting colder. Don't shut me down.
I mean, look, okay, it's 30 seconds long. It sounds horrible, but holy shit. Like, it's got a production, it's got voices. I use this one AI program called Ace. You have to download it on your desktop, and I don't have it set up so I can share it with you. And I haven't done enough with it anyway, but like I could sing a vocal and I can put it in, it'll convert it to MIDI, and then it'll convert the voice. So if I sing decently, actually, I could do very quickly make a cappella things or vocals that aren't me singing it, which is probably a good thing. So if you just draw in the MIDI notes on that, then it's very like uninspiring. You like literally need to program the vibrato and the inflections, and so it's a little bit labor intensive. So for someone like me, like I'd rather just get a singer. You know what I mean? I have access to singers. But if I was 19 years old and I had no real access to good singers, I mean, I might be willing to spend all day programming these voices. And they sound pretty good. Anyway, that's another video. Let's go back to this because I want to talk about a little bit about the ramifications of all of this, because there's a lot of people kind of freaking out. And I'm not sure that that's completely unfounded. But let's see here. This is one I did yesterday. Does it show me this description that I put in? Yes. Prompt, electronic pop song about an AI god. All right, let's take a listen to this. Da, 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 da. What are they, Swedish?
This is your first glance to face the code, the upgrade, AI deity. This is your first glance to face the code, the upgrade, AI deity.
So again, this is all like, they're meme songs basically, right? So like, I don't have any control. I kind of get what I get. It's a numbers game. It's kind of a fun thing to play with right now. But how long is it going to be before I can say, Udio or whatever program I'm using, Udio. And then I can feed it like maybe it's works with Logic, which is my DAW, of course, and I have a beat, and I want to add an overdub of an acoustic guitar. Well, if it can make a whole song, it can certainly play an acoustic guitar, and I could do it totally hit or miss too, right? I could say, Udio, play me an acoustic guitar part for this song that is about, and then tell it what it's about, and then it's going to make the part, like if I tell it's a sad guitar part, right, it's going to make it sound sad. This first track here, that I made today, which is a synth pop electric song about the struggles of a depressed AI, well, it's sad. I mean, it knew how to make it musically match with the lyrical content.
Talk to me in this code base.
It makes me laugh, man. It really makes me laugh. I should probably cry, but it makes me laugh. All right. So how long is it going to be before I can start replacing acoustic guitar players and replacing electric guitar players? Give me power chords on the chorus. Granted, I may have to tell it, I may not like what it comes up with. That's true if I use a human. I may say to the human, play me something. What do you feel? I mean, normally we have our chord progression worked out, but not always. So let's say I don't have my chord. Maybe I haven't written this song. All I've done is a beat. I got 4 to the floor, and I wanna, do something with it, and I want to create a song. Well, right now I create the whole song. It does everything. I have no control. But if I start to have control, oh my God, like, what can I do? I could do everything by myself, which, of course, is part of the problem. Because if I can replace the musicians, it's not going to be long before I can be replaced too, as a producer or as a mixer. And, I watched this video of this guy yesterday, and he basically said, we're fucked. And his argument is that copyright, that AI is stealing from humanity because these companies like Udio are letting the AI hear copywritten music. And people are freaking out over that. And I don't really understand why, because the way AI is learning music is going to be no different than how a human learns music. First thing we do is we learn scales. Once we understand scales, we have the building blocks for melody. Then we learn maybe chords, or sometimes we learn how to read music and we play classical music, and then we learn chords later. And then maybe, at some point, I wanted to start writing songs. So I started writing songs. How did I do that? I would listen to the music that people were making very carefully. and I would evaluate it. And then I would go and I'd say, okay, I'm going to try and make a song. And I would mimic a lot of the tools that my favorite songwriters used. I might even try to pinch their style. You know, maybe I remember one time as an exercise, I said, I set out to write a Phil Collins song. Well, I knew Phil Collins' music pretty well, so it really didn't take me. It wasn't that hard. Was it good? No. Was it original? No. But I learned a lot doing that. That's how I learned to write music. Was I purposely trying to infringe on Phil Collins? Well, I didn't take anything of his. All I did was pinch his style. And style cannot be protected. Right? If I want to make a song that sounds like Phil Collins and reminds you of Phil Collins, I can do that. Now, will it be successful? Probably not. Probably not, because there's no artist attached. It's total copycat, you know. But if it's somebody who wants to sell a product and they want to have that Phil Collins kind of vibe, and they're targeting Gen Xers, and they want you to buy their product, so they want a Phil Collins sound alike. Well, there's nothing to stop anybody from doing that. In fact, it's done every day. It's also considered kind of scummy, right? So, but you can't protect style. That's the thing. So where are we at? You know, so I don't really understand how copyright infringement how copyright is even being brought into here, because what am I going to do? Feed the AI all music from that's public domain? Is that all I'm going to give it? We're going to get a lot of useless old-timey music if we do that, right? So the AI has to understand what we like. And then there's the argument that I guess the New York Times is suing OpenAI because they're saying that OpenAI broke through their paywall to get information. Okay, if that happened, then maybe New York Times has a reasonable suit. But what if I have an AI that I'm training and I purchase a subscription of the New York Times and for my AI, and I say, here AI, here's this subscription that I purchased for you. Please read everything and learn from it. When I feed the AI music from Amazon Music or from Spotify or whatever, YouTube, it doesn't matter. It's paid for. I pay a subscription. I can play the music in my room. If someone's in the room, I don't have to pay extra. Radio goes out into the airwaves. You sit in your car. Someone pulls up next to me. A song is playing. I can hear that. The AI can hear that. How are we supposed to completely prevent AI from listening to copyrighted music or from reading copyrighted material? It's not listening to the music so that it can steal it. If it did steal it, if it put out something but somebody already did, then that would certainly be infringement. In fact, it's probably less likely that the AI will infringe, because the AI will know, if you feed it everything, will know everything that's ever been published. Which could get very interesting, right? Because what if there's no way to actually write a song that's not infringing? And if that's not now, it probably isn't, but if that's not now, what if it is after 9 billion people are making songs every day and publishing them? And how are you supposed to sell a song? So there are a lot of issues with this. Do not get me wrong. A lot. But feeding it copyrighted material, that's not one of them. That's how it's got to learn. It's not infringing with any of this stuff that is made here for me, right? It made this stuff out of whole cloth. I don't know anything that sounds like this.
We can code our sorrows in the night.
We can code our sorrows in the night. That's the other thing. Like the lyrics that this thing writes, I've had some actually like pretty good lyrics. Not everything. There's some stuff that, we are at the infancy of this. So like the fact that it can come out with like lyrics that I go, wow, that's a good lyric. That's incredible. People are scared. Hysterical, even. I'm going to talk a lot about this in the coming weeks because I'm going to be experimenting with it. I really want to get involved in this AI stuff. I want to create with AI. I want to use it as a tool. Knowing it's going to possibly replace me, it'd probably be better than me at some point. I don't really understand how I could even say better than me, since better is subjective. But you know what I mean. Like at some point, it will surpass. It could very well surpass my own creativity. And then, I think really the only solution, AI is going to replace most of us. Bots can replace us all. We learned this in grade school. If you're a Gen Xer, you learned this in grade school. Bots are going to take your job. Computers are going to take your job. Well, we are here. And so how do we deal with that? Universal basic income? If I use the AI to record an acoustic guitar player, should I have to pay an acoustic guitar player? Like, let's say that job is worth $300. Do I have to send $300 to an acoustic guitar player? Well, for a lot of stuff, I'm not necessarily creating it. A lot of stuff, I might not even pay someone. Well, that's not true. I don't know. Everybody's got to get paid. But, what about the teenager who's home, who's making records? He's not going to pay anybody $300. He's making records to try and, become something, to make something of himself. So what's going to happen? Are only commercial companies going to be responsible for paying a tax that basically pays us all to do nothing, to be creators, to talk to each other in video, on video? It's really, really a remarkable conundrum. But there's also no stopping it. So your only, your only foreseeable protection is to go down the path and to adopt AI. It's kind of interesting because, I started out recording analog. DAWs came in the very, very early 90s, ADATs. We went through all sorts of different things. And then Pro Tools really started to become to find its way in the studios around 97, even the big analog studios that were $2,000 a day. We'd get Pro Tools would start to appear, and then by the time HD came in, there was almost always a Pro Tools engineer and a recording engineer and a producer, and everybody was kind of working together, and we'd record the tape, transfer it to Pro Tools. So we were working in a very hybrid manner. I fucking hated digital. Not because I didn't think I ever would, not because I didn't think that I would end up never using a DAW. I knew that I would, but it wasn't like better for me. I always tell people, use the technology that makes your life easier. I'm not sure that applies here. I mean, it does, because AI is going to make your life easier, but it's going to make it more difficult in other ways. So analog tape made my life easier because I couldn't stand the sound of the digital recordings and DAWs unless you had really, really good converters. So I detested the sound so much. I much preferred, it was way easier for me to operate in analog, even though in many ways it gave me limitations, and maybe that's why. But this is different. There was never any question. People would say, oh, you're going to be left out of this business if you don't get into DAW. Well, no. Because I could learn how to use a DAW in no time and already knew how to use a DAW. I just preferred not to. So that was a ridiculous notion. But is it a ridiculous notion to say, if you don't jump on AI, you're going to get left behind? Is that such a ridiculous notion? And then once it gets really good, then what's going to happen? Then, I mean, I can imagine buying software that's obsolete tomorrow. We've all bought software that goes obsolete. It takes a while. It can take years. It could take a year. It could take years. But if AI is improving at an exponential clip, there could be a point where you cannot possibly, you're obsolete by the time you've run your credit card. So, anyway, that's in the weeds. I really wanted to address this whole feeding the AI copyright. I'm very interested in hearing what other people say. I find it hysterical. I think it makes absolutely no sense. There's all sorts of things that we need to address about AI that's probably never going to be addressed or won't be addressed soon enough. And then big companies are going to make trillions upon trillions of dollars as we all suck on fumes. Sound familiar? So I have no faith in that not happening. So you can either get a piece of that money as you destroy humanity, or you can put the blinders on and find yourself unable to get work. And ultimately, you got to protect yourself. So, I don't know. My buddy introduced to me Suno a couple weeks ago, and he's a big AI guy, this guy. And I was blown away and excited at the possibilities. And we've spent hours already just talking about the ramifications of all of this. And so I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm going to be thinking about it a lot more. As should you. Or just come and listen to me, and then you'll everything I've thought of, you'll have. All right. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think about all of this. In particular, this whole concept of it being theft for AI to listen to copyrighted music or infringement, which it's not. It's only infringement if you publish something that's somebody else owns, and that's protected. And the AI can be told what's protected. So I'm really baffled by this whole hysteria of feeding an AI copyrighted music. And I'm going to write an article specifically about that. But I wanted to address it on video too. So there you go. Let me know what you think.